Comedy anime has always been something I've had issues enjoying. I'm not sure why, but I find it really difficult for comedy to sit right with me. I constantly feel like there's this layer of abstraction that makes it hard to find jokes really funny, and that makes a lot of the jokes too predictable. The kind of comedy that often sticks with me though is when it's really character driven. I like it when the comedy comes from decisions that follow our understanding of the characters and lead to unique scenarios, which is often much funnier than random gags. My favorite comedy I've seen in a while is Haven't You Heard? I'm Sakamoto, which is a super character driven and unique comedy. It feels really spontaneous and, contrary to popular belief apparently, is not repetitive at all in its storytelling. One of my all-time favorite comedy moments, though, comes from a somewhat low-key show from 2012 called Ixion Saga DT. To give you an idea of the material, the DT stands for Dimension Transfer, since it's an isekai, but also is a not-so-clever pun for dote, since that is the word for virgin, and the MC is, as such, a virgin and not very happy about it. I'll be the first to admit, I've never gotten more than about 8 episodes into the show in the several times I've tried to watch it through, since my friends introduced it to me like 7-ish years ago. The pacing is odd, the tone is intentionally awkward, and a few of the episodes fall pretty flat. I do absolutely love the opening though, especially the version sung by the main character, Kon, and if you're ever lucky enough to see me drunk at a party, I will 1000% belt out the whole thing from memory. Similarly, one part of the show I will never ever forget is the first episode's beginning and ending scenes. We get a cold open into a video game that is very obviously Monster Hunter. Even if I wasn't someone who has played like 3 Monster Hunter games, just basic video game knowledge makes it really obvious. He's fighting a monster going back and forth. He's playing Greatsword, which is iconic for its long charge times and strong attacks but huge damage, which generally requires good understanding of a fight to use. But instead, Kon is a moron, charges in the middle of the fight randomly, and declaring it his amazing finishing move, gets the shit kicked out of him while charging and loses the quest entirely, getting pissed about it moving around too much or whatever. The hook of the series though is when some random girl very obviously leads him on in the game, kind of tricking him into getting isekai'd. He winds up in the middle of an assassination attempt on a princess traveling to another country to marry some royalty and consolidate power. He accidentally, though, takes out the enemy leader, letting them all escape by just landing on them. A bunch of goofy shit happens, including the party buying him some shoes as thanks. He buys the most expensive shoes he can find, even though they're uncomfortable, weird alligator shoes with like horns and spikes on them, just because he's a dick and he's like, well, I don't have to pay for it. And the culmination of this, though, has to be one of the funniest scenes in the entire show. They get tracked down by the leader of the whole military, Eric Pyle Dukakis. You might have noticed his initials are ED in the first of many dick jokes. Mr. ED is fucking strong though and immediately thrashes the whole party, leading to a 1v1 with Kon, the main character. He easily beats up Kon, sad that the man who defeated his subordinate wasn't actually as strong as he thought. Kon gets up and shouts about not dying before losing his DT, and Mr. ED man, so impressed by his warrior spirit and tenacity, decides to honor Kon with his strongest attack. He gets into a pose and charges up his attack, and for a second we're like, oh fuck, he's about to murder this man. And as he's charging though, Kon dashes up, kicks him in the balls with his newly acquired spiky shoes. He crumples to the fucking ground, defeated and lifeless, and the party escapes. This moment is so funny for many reasons. First, in somewhat crude fashion, Mr. ED actually gets one of his balls busted by this attack literally, developing, you guessed it, erectile dysfunction. This bit is pretty funny and actually sad as Mr. ED struggles with his ED after returning home to his beautiful wife who wants nothing more than to conceive a child with him and settle down. The ending theme is also hilarious. I mean, just listen to this.
Let's go, ED, EK, go, go!
It's pretty goddamn funny. Second, Kon's only in a position to deal actual damage with this kick because he's the type of asshole moron who takes advantage of the party's offer to buy him shoes, and buys him the dumbest looking, most expensive ones there. The fact that they happen to have spikes on them is a result of this character trait, and he lucks out because of it entirely. Most importantly though, Kon wins this fight from learning from the first scene of the show. Remember when he was the moron losing a fight because he charged up an attack randomly, leaving himself open? ED man does the exact same stupid shit, and when he realizes it, he wins the fight because of it. He even acts smug to Mr. ED, saying, "You're wide open," after beating him, as if he didn't totally make the exact same dumbass mistake 20 minutes ago. Now he's being smug about it. It's absolutely hilarious, and I always find myself thinking back to the scene just for how conceptually funny it is. It's probably my favorite example of character-driven comedy, something that I can think about and always laugh at. That's why it's my favorite scene of the show, just as a bit that never really gets old for me. Thanks for watching, and let me know what shows you guys find funny. See y'all in the next one.